Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is Benvenue's Corner, and I am your charming host, Benvenue. How are you doing, everybody? I hope this video is finding you well. Let me do something really quick that I should have done last time. I'll have a little story for you. I want to check and make sure my studio is capturing video. Yes, it is this time. That is fantastic. I had already recorded a 45-minute video here, which I'm going to try to trim down a little bit this time, and because I missed a few things, maybe it will be shorter. But I didn't stop and check to make sure that this thing was actually picking up the audio to record, or the video to record, rather, and it did not. So that was a waste of about 45 minutes. So my plan for this episode was to recap what happened last week during the game, after the game, some news on the roster, because if you saw last game, the starting right guard Seth Costanzo unfortunately had to leave the game with an injury, and we have an update on that. I was going to show you the standings, our next opponent, which is, you can see there, the Toronto Huskies with their lovely little husky mascot. I love that. My first dog ever, when I was a little kid, first dog ever was a Siberian Husky with big blue eyes, just like that. Her name was Mara. She lived to be 13 years old, which is old for a Husky. And she was just a great dog. She never barked. She always howled all the time. So whenever she had to go outside, she would go to the back door, sit there, and just howl her head off so loud. And if you didn't let her out, that was your fault. You know, she let you know. No uncertain terms. Anyway, I miss her. She was a great little dog, and that's why I have a love affair with dogs all my life. I have one right now who's part husky, part boxer, part pit bull, and boy, she is a battle tank, but she's a sweetheart. A lot of energy, a lot of love in her, and she's got a little bit of a yodeling howl in her too, so it's kind of cute. She's just over a year old now. Anyway, sorry about that. Went off on a topic. I was going to review the Huskies roster so you can see where their talent is, go over their stats so you can see how their season is going. You see they're 5-5 on the year. A little bit of information. We did face them once already this season, so we'll get into that. I wanted to do some scouting and training for you to see what my focus was there, but unfortunately I did that last recording that didn't record the video, and I saved the file already thinking I had it and wouldn't need to come back to it, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I'm just going to show you the draft class right now just to show you where the talent is. My overall theory here kind of goes with MrHurricane. I like to scout like the first 20 players or so to see where the talent is at the start of the season. Now that I've progressed so far in it and know that I'm probably not going to be picking anywhere near the top 10, I might be picking towards the bottom of the draft. I might start looking at the bottom of the draft as well for talent, because I'm probably going to be picking, I hope, somewhere in the 24, 25, and 30 range in the first round. So we'll have to see. That's all going to depend on how the season goes. And generally speaking, I hold off on offensive linemen. I might scout like the top guys just to see where their talent lies, but usually I hold off on scouting offensive linemen until the combine, which I think doesn't happen until the off-season portion. So I hold off on them till the end, because the combine is going to tell you a lot of information that's really helpful with the offensive lineman. I mean, yeah, this guy has B for blocking, but maybe he's really slow, or maybe he's not strong at all. So you find that out with the combine. So you're not going to see too much of the quality of the offensive line at this point. But you can see Steven Rogers, top of the draft class for the quarterbacks, A's across the board. Then there's a drop-off behind him, and then late fourth round. See, he's rated as a first-round talent with A's across the board, but a third-round talent. So that's kind of strange to see. So obviously there's something there that we're not going to see. Maybe it'll show up in the combine, but I don't like this scouting. I'm a fan of the Head Coach 09 series the Head Coach 09 game. There was only 2 games in the series. 06 was pretty good, but very glitchy, very slow and buggy, and it turned a lot of people off because you'd make some progress, and before you could save it, it would freeze up, and you'd lose that progress, and it will frustrate you because of all the details in it. Well, 09 is no slouch on the details either. I love their scouting. If you haven't taken a look in that game, try to find some YouTube videos on it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Halfback, generally speaking, I leave these guys to last because also the combine's going to give you an idea of where if they're a speed, how fast they are. If they're a power back, how strong they are. So you don't get a lot of great information. Yeah, you could have A's across the board. Maybe he's slow. You know, fullbacks I don't usually bother with. I do have a need for one. I have one guy that's a scheme fit, but you know, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll pick one up for free agency. I don't know. Here's the wide receivers. Again, I'm probably not going to be picking up towards the top of the first round. So maybe second, third round, maybe see if I can find a sleeper in here somewhere with all these skyscraper wide receivers. 6'6", 6'4". I already have a 6'4" wide receiver. Is going there again a good idea? I don't have a lot of speed. I don't have a big home run hitter in my wide receiving course. So that may be what I need to find. The tight end class, not really impressive looking. Cohen leads the pack. I don't know if I'm going there first round with B's across the board. I'd like to see some A's there, something really, not unless he has an amazing super combine that's, hey, this guy is a once-in-a-generation talent, and already offensive line, you're not going to see too much there. Defensive line, I usually go the first 3 rounds with every position. You know, first through third, see what the talent looks like there. After the third round, usually the awareness drops off. Just in general, it's not, you know, nothing's ever 100%, but I go with the first 3 rounds, and then by that time, hopefully, I get to the combine and can see where some other talent is. So as you see, I haven't quite finished the right ends here, so there's a couple of guys, well, one guy. Got Marquis Straight leading the talent here, by far the best. A, B+, nobody else is coming close to him yet. At left end, B's, so kind of all around the same talent level, and then there's a severe drop-off. Defensive tackle, we got a really good one up at the front of the draft. Got a guy that's projected to go third, has a second-round talent, so maybe Laundry Day. Landry Day! Laundry Day! What a name! But I already have Sheldon Bates, and I don't need a second starting caliber defensive tackle, so I don't have to go third round there to find a backup. So that's probably not a target for me. Left outside linebacker. Ooh, the top guy is a 5th round? Wow. But the second guy, first round talent and first round projecting, AAB. We do need a left outside linebacker. Sean Stewart's pretty good, but I would like to get more outside pressure, and maybe this is the guy. We'll have to see. Antoine Gatewood leads the linebackers. I'll have to scout the class a little more here. Haven't done it. Generally, I like to see an A for tackle. An A or better, and none of these guys have that, obviously. But you never know. Tackling isn't everything. At the right outside linebacker, top guy there, not looking great, but I have to do more research here. Oh, we got Dion Weston there. Looks like he might be a sleeper. Maybe judged as well, so it might be some talent here. At the cornerback, this is where I'm going to need to see if I can find a speedy guy. We have speed, but the problem is the agility. I like to see some agility in the defensive backs because they have to, you know, shadow the receivers. And if you don't have agility, you can't make those cuts with them. You know, so you know, a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, a cornerback starts out backpedaling for about 5 to 10 yards down the field before he turns his hip and has to make a decision to go some direction or another. And that takes agility. You hear that phrase, open hips or stiff hips? Open hips means you can turn your body, pivot, and cut, and you're agile. Stiff hips means you might be straight line fast, but you can't change direction, and that's what we have a lot of, other than Aaron Kershaw. And I really need to add another. Obviously, finding another talent like Kershaw would be great, but another player like that has the speed, agility, and acceleration. The trifecta, as I call it. So maybe we can find one here. The free safety class looks terrible, so I don't think I'm going to do... I don't really need one. I have, who do I have? LaMarcus Blades, he's doing a pretty good job for me, so maybe that's a free agent look, who knows. Strong safety, we have some talent here. I don't think I'm going... I have Nate Youngblood, I like what he's doing for the most part. I don't think I'm going to top of the draft here for that. And then the kickers and punters, I usually... You know, if I have throwaway points left over, I might start looking at them. I have Wes McGuire and Spencer Parsons. Sorry. They're doing a pretty good job. Yeah, I'd like more accuracy out of Wes, but he's missing long 50-yard field goals, which a lot of kickers should make, but, you know, I shouldn't have to rely on him to do that. So anyway, training-wise, I'm just going to go over my approach to it. I've already done it, but basically what I do is I put offensive linemen as the focus players, especially if they're normal dev, because offensive linemen do not get those dev trait upgrades through the season, like positional players do. So they don't get a chance to go to star dev or superstar or anything like that. I'm not even sure, maybe if they make the Pro Bowl, I don't even think that matters. So in order to get your offensive line going, you need to focus them. In my opinion, let me just clarify. In my opinion, the best way to go about it is you take 3 of them, put them in as focus players, and then in your offensive game plan, focus them as part of it. Always focus the offensive line, and then do another quarterback, halfback. Maybe you need to do wide receivers. For my team, it's quarterback, because I have a young one that needs to develop a little bit more, and the offensive line. And the only play I have for that is the deep pass play action power O. On the defensive side, my secondary is about as good as it's going to get. Aaron Kershaw is amazing. All the other guys are kind of not long-term answers. They're there for now, and they're doing fairly well for me, but I need to upgrade there. So I'm not really going to focus on developing them until I get more talent. What I did in the draft was defensive line and linebacker is where I have my youth and my young guys, so I'm focusing on the front 7. I need to get the pressure. Tanner Malone's come out of nowhere for me, so great on him, but I don't have anybody else that's really being that disruptive. So I'd like to get more pressure, and then London Bates needs to develop in the run game. He's already doing very well in the passing game, but I need him to step up in the running game a little bit more, and there's only one way to do that, and that's to develop them. So anyway, there's that spiel. What is next after the scouting and all that? Let's go after the recap of the game. So, coming off of a 61-17 victory and a 4-game winning streak, the Orlando Sentinels went into Houston looking to keep things rolling, and the score is a little deceptive. They lost by 4 points, which is disappointing. So they fall to 7-3, and the Voyagers went to 6-4, so above 500. They would have fallen to 500 if they lost. Anyway, the game started off with a kick return touchdown by the Voyagers, and that just set the tone. It was a stunner to let that up. Coach Hennessy is not very happy because he feels the team beat themselves. There were turnovers at critical times, drop passes, bad play calling, so he's going to have a meeting with his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, because things just weren't quite... They just seemed off. It wasn't a bad game from a stat position. Dalton Triplett wasn't able to get things going on the ground. That might have been due to an injury to starting right guard Seth Costanzo and not having a starter in there. But even when he was in there, it just wasn't really getting going on the ground. Byrne had a great game. He had 2 touchdowns and a lot of yards. Was a little inaccurate, but a lot of those were drops that were uncharacteristic of those players. I don't know if it was a lack of focus or if the players, we got a lot of youth, so maybe they were taking things for granted because, hey, we're on a roll, 4 games in a row, we just blew out the Bears, we can beat anybody, and they didn't focus as much. So that's something Hennessy's not going to be happy about. He wasn't happy about it, and he said, we have to get better than this. It's not like they beat us, we beat ourselves. So there was a fumble from Kiefer Byrne. He went on a rollout pass, got hit, and lost the ball. and the defense picked it up and ran it in. So there's 14 points right there. They started off with 14 unanswered, and the Sentinels came back in the second quarter with 10, and then it went in the third quarter. The Voyagers came back with another 10 points, and give credit to the Sentinels for putting a last-minute surge together to try to win the game. They had a couple chances late in the game in the fourth quarter to pull even or even take the lead, and they just couldn't get it done. So they fall to 7-3. So let's take a look at the standings now. You can see I mentioned during the game at halftime break that the two other 7-2 teams were winning their games at halftime. And you can already see one of them, the inner division, the Columbus Explorers, they won their game. They're 8-2. The other team was the New Orleans Saints in the NFC, and they won their game. So they're both 8-2. We fall to 7-3, and now we have company with the Oklahoma City Bisons and the London Bulldogs. So now the playoff picture is looking a little murkier. The Sentinels still have a chance to get in there as a wild card, but then we have a whole bunch of 6-4 teams here who could push their way in. So this season is really up for grabs. You look at 7-3 and you think, man, we're going to playoffs. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. There's a lot of other teams having good seasons out there, so it's a little too soon to tell. Now let's see here. Let's take a look at the Huskies roster. See what their talent is like. Let's get to the Huskies. We've already seen our team numerous times. Okay, let's take a look at their starting quarterback, who has a great name. Max Good, a superstar dev. Is he Superstar X or just Superstar? Just Superstar. 25 years old, 89 overall already. Got some speed so he can scramble, and he is a weapon on the ground. 92 awareness, 93 throw power, 95 accuracy, 93 accuracy. Deep ball is the problem for him. Can throw on the run, can throw under pressure, can get away from would-be sacks. So, you'd think he'd be tearing up the league, but not really. Not the way this team is built. You can see 4,000 yards, 41, around 4,000 yards every year. Pretty good touchdown to interception ratio, but this year, so far, his numbers are kind of like Kiefer Burns. Burns has 13 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Max Good has 12 and 4. Completion percentage, pretty good at 66, but Kiefer Burns is at 72. So, despite the overall rating, sometimes that doesn't always matter. In the ground game, you can see, yeah, he takes off and runs, likes to score the touchdown himself. He's already got 4 touchdowns, which ties a career high. Hopefully he doesn't get too many against our team. Starting running back is Dion Averill, and he is near the top in the league in running yards and touchdowns. You can see he's power back. We struggled against their power back last week, the Voyagers. Contained it early on, but then as the game wore on, they were able to pick up key first downs to extend drives and run out the clock on the Sentinels defense. So let's take a look at him. He's star dev, 81 overall. You see 3.6 yards a carry and 6 touchdowns in his rookie year. He is already improving upon that. He is, I believe, 7th in the league in rushing yards, and I believe near the top in rushing touchdowns. So going to have to get stout against the running game, and they also use him as a receiver out of the backfield. You can see almost 500 yards last year. He's got 243 this year with a touchdown. So dual threat there. We won't really focus on the fullback. They have a good one. Wide receiver. Now, this is something I didn't really pay attention to last time we played this team. But take a look at something as I go over the wide receivers. And just focus on the height of all the wide receivers here. We got Sean Townsell, 6'2". All physical receivers, not a lot of speed. They do have Isaiah Williams for speed, but route runners, physical guys that are going to bully you, go up in the air and get them. And Townsell is one of those guys. Look, I like that agility. I like that acceleration. For a big physical guy, that's pretty good. I'd like to see 90 speed. I'm Al Davis, I guess. Speed. Just give me fast guys. But sometimes speed isn't all what it's about. Javier Westbrook, 6'3". Not a lot of speed, but again, you know, big, strong, solid guy. Going to go up and get the ball and going to run over people afterwards. Isaiah Williams, 6'4", 233 pounds with some speed, some strength, good catching. Can make some miracle catches here and there. Good jumping ability. He is their leading receiver, but you're going to see that doesn't mean a whole lot on this team. Cameron Silvers, 6'5". They just keep getting bigger. Looks like a tight end here at the wide receiver position. If he was a little bit bulkier, maybe he would be a tight end. Let me see. Let me move my cursor here so you can see his speed ratings and all. Not a great 3 there, but just a solid possession guy underneath. You know, who's going to stop this guy? Not a whole lot of people. Levi Cobb at 6 foot tall is their shortest wide receiver. You can see his numbers here, and then Rafael Santos, 6'5". Good grief. It doesn't stop there, folks. Look at their tight ends. 6'6", 6'6", 6'4". Now, you don't see a lot of speed here, and you would think with these ratings that Gil Newman would be more of a blocking tight end. And he is, but they involve him a lot in the passing game, which is kind of surprising considering that catch rating is not wonderful at all. He doesn't have good catch ratings anywhere. So how he's accomplishing that, I don't know. Great run blocker. Check that out. 82 run blocking. So he's going to be helping out that power run game, and that could be something to watch out for during the game. The offensive line, pretty good. Joey Bellamy, 75 overall, veteran. Got pretty good numbers here. Pretty good speed, agility, and acceleration. Decent strength. Good pass blocking. Not bad. Starting left guard, Tim Brock. He's a 75 overall as well. If they're going to do some pulling, that's going to be a problem. If they do straight line running, he might be pretty good in that regard. But this is why I am not playing... I forgot his name. The backup right guard on my team. I was trying to start him, but it just didn't work out. He just can't get to the point of attack, and maybe that's a problem Tim Brock will have as well. Starting center, 79 overall veteran, anchor of the offensive line, Riley Stockton. Pretty good numbers overall there. Look at that. Pass block power, 88. Run blocking, 88. Run blocking power... Lead block, impact backing, 77. Not bad. 78 overall right guard, Daryl Andrews. Again, not the fastest guy. So this is a power run. We're going to come at you and smash you right in the mouth type of offensive line. And that is not what we did well against last week. So this could be trouble again. Roy Bead, one of the better guys in the league here. Established veteran, 82 overall right tackle. Take a look at his numbers here. Or the defense, Mike Jones. He is near the top in the league in tackles for loss. We'll take a look at his numbers on the year here. You see a fairly decent amount of sacks, so he is kind of like Felton for our team. You didn't expect a whole lot out of him, but he'll get some sacks here, and he also does his job in the running game. Their star is Antonio Randall, and he leads their team with 10 sacks, which is good for third in the league, right behind Tanner Malone with 11. You can see he's progressed almost exactly like Malone. Malone did not have a lot of sacks to start off, almost exactly. I think he had 3 in his second year. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes 11 for him, and Randall has 10. He's been a terror for their team. Their backup, Boast, he gets some playing time too, and he has a few sacks on the season as well. Let's see, yeah, he's got 5 in a backup role. So they must cycle out their defensive line. Mike Jones doesn't have a lot of has a few sacks, but so does Jarius Shaw. He has 3.5. So a solid rotation here across the front 3. Defensive tackle. Maybe they're playing him at defensive tackle because Tracy Gunter is not rated very well. Let's see if he's getting some playing time here. Looks like he is. So maybe he's in on base, just like I kind of do with Sheldon Bates. I play him in the base defense against the run. And when it comes to the rushing, I sub him out and put in Vernon Hunt. So maybe that's what they're doing here too. That explains a lot. Left outside linebacker Dean Carmen. Take a look at his numbers. Just steady. He's kind of like my Sean Stewart. Steady, but not gonna wow you. Good in the run. Their middle linebacker, Dean Sanborn. He is their London Bates. Fast, moves across the field. Let's see his coverage rating. Pretty good coverage. So, yeah, he is their London Bates. Let's take a look at him. Let's see, he's got a few sacks. He leads their team with 3 interceptions. And keep in mind, Aaron Kershaw leads the league. He's tied with 2 other players with 4. So Dean Sanborn is right there, and he got 2 of them in one game. Guess who it was against? Right outside linebacker. Now this is interesting. I didn't realize this at first. Yeah, you see the 88 overall. He's a Superstar X with Zone Hawk. Got pretty good speed, but take a look at something right here. Great awareness, good tackling, but I don't think I've ever seen this before. 90 zone coverage and 70 man coverage. That is an insanely good covered linebacker, and you'd think he'd be really involved in interceptions, but not really. He doesn't even have one this year. Had 3 last year, so that makes sense, but none so far this year. Hopefully he doesn't get 2 or 3 of them against our team. Their secondary, led by Demarius Royal. Not a lot of speed in this secondary, at least from the corner position. Boy, fine with 78 agility. Wow. Why would you draft him? He is tall. I don't know. But you can see here, yeah, pretty much like my team, led by Aaron Kershaw, and then after that, it's kind of, okay, we're going to have to just make it work, and I'll show you where they make it work. Their safeties. You see, Sean Chandler here is a superstar, veteran, 31 years old, might be losing a little bit of speed as he gets a little older, but still, amazing acceleration, good agility, great awareness, can make up for a lot, good coverage skills. Let's take a look at his numbers. Superstar Dev. You see, he's had a few interceptions here. He's had 3 a couple years ago. He's got 2 this year. So he's still a very productive player. Check this out. Their strong safety, Travis Stamper, 96 speed, 92 acceleration, and 90 agility. I really think they're losing out by not playing him at corner because they have Frederick Troutman, who I would start at safety. 91 speed and acceleration. That's good. Maybe not great. That's 72 zone. I mean, that's workable. But they have a dearth of talent at corner. And this guy would be a great corner. I mean, he could cause some problems there. Got good jumping. He's got good coverage skills. I would put him in at corner. Let's take a look at his numbers. Star Dev. And you can see 3 interceptions as a rookie. 1, 3 again. None last year. He's got 1 this year already. Guess who that was against? Foreshadowing. Now, here's another interesting thing. Their kicker, Bobby Oliver, 71 overall, 88 kick power, 73 kick accuracy. You think, wow, they need to find a new kicker. Well, maybe not, because look at what he's done for them this year. Okay, he's missed 1 field goal. And that's only because it was blocked. It's not because he kicked it wide right or was too short. In fact, he's made a lot of 50-yard field goals. His only extra point that he missed, it was blocked. He didn't miss it, it was just blocked. But perfect. And his 1 miss is from 50 overall. Now compare that to our guy, Wes McGuire, who has a 94 kick power and 82 accuracy. He can't buy a field goal from over 50 yards. He's pretty perfect from inside that range, but 50 yards and over, he is 1 for 9 with the longest kick on the year of 58 yards. Check out their check out their punter. Kevin Ridgway, 90 and 75, pretty much middle of the road when it comes for every average and inside the 20. You see he had 16, 14, and now 10. Tops in the league is our guy Spencer Parsons with 18, so that kind of gives you an idea where he stands. The average is over 50. I think it's about 51, 52, and this is around 50 as well. So you can see where he kind of stands there. Has a long pwn of 72 on the year. Now here, it could be another problem. Last game started with the Voyagers returning a kick for a touchdown. And I'm going to go into the team stats now, if I can find the page here. Bear with me. So you can get an idea of what the Huskies are doing overall at a glance. We already went over Max Good, 12 TDs, 4 interceptions. Kind of middle of the road, just like Kiefer Byrne, kind of like middle of the pack quarterbacks. The top quarterbacks in the league have had about 20-some touchdowns. The worst interceptions in the league are up in the teens, so yeah. Completion percentage right in the middle of the pack, too. Kiefer Byrne's near the top with 72%, so 66 is kind of that next level. Rushing, Averill is 651 and 7. Those are top 10 numbers. I believe he's top 5 with the touchdowns. I think he's 7th, maybe 6th in the league with yards. You can see Max Good has 4 on the ground, and their backup Hayes with 3. So getting it in the end zone on the ground. They distribute the ball very well. They don't have one standout guy. Isaiah Williams leads them in yardage. Westbrook leads them in receptions. And then there's Newman, the tight end with 66 hands. 2 touchdowns, 449 yards. You got Townsell with 30 catches. And Averill. So they don't focus on one guy. They hit you from everywhere, which, I guess that's a great way to go when you don't have a lot of speed. You just kind of, whoever's open, you go for it. Blocking we'll go over just because there is one major issue here. Joey Bellamy has let up 10 sacks in 10 games, so a sack per game. And he goes up against our top pass rusher in Tanner Malone. Keep wanting to call him Tommy. I don't know why. Keep wanting to call the man Tommy. So that could be a matchup worth looking at. Last game they played, Tanner got 2 sacks against them. You see their defense here overall. Nobody's jumping out, running away with the tackles. They do have a lot of tackles for loss, though, so they're making plays in the backfield. Tops in the league is around 11 or 12 for tackles for loss, so you can see 9, 9, 8, 7, so they got a lot of guys within that top 5, top 10 tier. Sacks, by far and away, their leader, Antonio Randall. Then you got 5 from the backup. He's a backup right end, and he's got 5. They got left end Jadarius Shaw with 3, and then another right end. Their third string right end has 3 sacks. And their left end has 2. I mean, this is great. They just I guess, continually rotate guys out, and they get to the quarterback all day long. So our offensive line could be in trouble here. Interceptions, I showed you already that Dean Sanborn, the middle linebacker, leads them, but then they have a whole lot of guys with a couple. Royal, Richie Kendricks, John Logan, Sean Chandler, and then a couple guys with 1. Let's see what else. We want to look at deflections. Middle of the pack here. Aaron Kershaw leads the league with 9, so you can see 5 is kind of like down a few tiers. So they don't break up a lot of passes, and they pick off a lot of passes, though, so pretty good defense there. I already showed you their kicking numbers, pretty much perfect. Unless you're blocking him, he's not missing, which is insane to me to comprehend with those kicking stats of 88 and 73. If I knew an 88 and 73 could be that good, I'd get him on my team. Why not? The kick return, there I showed you. Alexander Red, I think he's the top returner in the league with yards. And you see the 101-yard touchdown return. So that is something the special teams better come prepared for that. Now, we get them at home this time. We played them on the road last meeting. And you can see him on the punt return. So he is their duly appointed return man. And he's doing a great job for them. Now, what do we want to take a look at? All right, let's go over the schedule here, and we can show you what happened the last time these two teams met. Now, they had their bye week. They had high scoring. To that point, the highest scoring game they had in a narrow victory, last-minute field goal win over the Bulldogs, and then they went to Toronto and played the Huskies and had their biggest loss on the season in terms of point differential. 21 points between the two teams. Let's take a closer look and see what happened. Now, yards, yeah, it looks pretty close. I mean, nothing really stands out at you here, but one thing that does is the turnover difference. We turned it over 3 times, they only did it once, and that is pretty much the story of the game. Take a look. Max Good, not a great game, but very, very efficient. No touchdowns, no interceptions in the air. I believe he ran 1 or 2 in on the ground. 18 for 20, though, so extremely accurate. But you see, Kiefer Byrne had 3 interceptions. By far his worst games in terms of interception. This is early on in the season. I think like I said, his first 7 interceptions all came within the first 4 or 5 games of the season. Since then, he's not turned it over since. As far as interceptions goes, he did turn over a fumble, so he's been doing better in that regard. So we'll have to see how he responds and how he's moved on now that it's several games in the future here. Deon Avery had a pretty solid game there. 4.3, a touchdown, 90 yards. Triplet had not gotten going yet. This was still where the offense was still kind of figuring itself out, and it wasn't until the last 2 or 3 games where Dalton really started to pull away with these big 100-yard plus games, and then the last game was like a game just like this, 1969, 3.6, no touchdowns. You can see Max Good, the quarterback, ran it in twice for a touchdown, so yeah, he's a weapon we have to watch out for too. Stackhouse got a couple carries, Mays got a few. On the receiving end, well, they didn't throw the ball a lot. They didn't have to because we were turning the ball over all day long. But Perry Wood for us, 6 catches for 73 yards, no touchdowns. Stackhouse, I think this is the first game he had with us. We had an injury earlier on the season for a few games. I brought Stackhouse in for depth, and then I just kind of manipulated the roster a little bit to keep him in. I liked what he did, and he showed up first game out of the gates here. 8 catches, 63 yards. As the primary receiving back, and I also put him in the slot receiver because our receiving core, you've already seen them in the other videos, they're not tremendously talented. I don't really have, after Perry Wood, the talent level kind of plummets. I don't have anybody stepping up really saying, hey, I deserve to play here. So you can see their leading guy, Isaiah Williams. There's our second receiver, B.J. Sullivan, and their big tight end, Gil Newman. Blocking-wise, and here's going to be some interesting matchups. It's going to be our guy, Beatles, the right tackle, against their left end that leads the team in sacks. And their left tackle, Joey Bellamy, up against our leading sack guy, I wanted to call him Tommy again, Tanner Malone. Tanner. It's Tanner. Get it through my thick skull. So you can see both of them let up 2 sacks, and that's going to be, I think, a focus. How well can the offensive lines hold up? Take a look at defensively speaking. Lincoln Calvin led the way with 17 total tackles. London Bates for us with 13. Travis Stamper, the speedy, strong safety. I don't think I've seen a guy with that much speed at strong safety before. Lamarcus Blades, Dean Sanborn, 9 tackles. See the tackles for loss. Calvin had 2, Youngblood 1, Blanton, Lamb, Stewart. The sacks. Antonio Randall, their leader, had 2 against our guy, Beatles. And Tanner Malone had 2 against their guy. So, Bellamy. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. They tied last time. Let's see if we can come out the winner this time. Bates picked up a sack. Shaw and Battles and bust. Interceptions. 2 for Dean Sanborn, 1 for Sean Chandler. I told you while we were going over the numbers earlier. Guess who those interceptions came against? Well, they came against us. Let's hope Kiefer Byrne does not repeat that again this next game. Kicking-wise, Oliver was perfect. And guess where McGuire missed from? You can see his longest was a 48, so if he missed one, it didn't come from within the 48, or within the 40, did it? Nope. He missed one from 50 plus. Again. Punting-wise, pretty much no clear-cut winner there. Ridgeway had a better average. Both had 1 inside the 20, 2 touchbacks, a long as 63 and 59, so near as much doesn't make a difference. Kick return. Red did not take one to the house, but he did do 2 for 50, which is a pretty good average there, and Kerr pretty much right there with him, 5 for 124, so gonna have to keep this man in check. He could be a difference maker, and I hope he's not. And there's 2 punt returns for 8 yards, so he could be one looking to break one on a punt return too. You just never know. So that's how those 2 teams fared last time. Obviously, the Sentinels are going to be looking for some revenge here. They get them at home this week. We went over the scouting and training earlier, so I don't have to do that. So next episode, it's going to be me calling another game. I'm going to change things up. I realized after listening to my first game, maybe I spoke a little too much. Was a little more conversational rather than doing play-by-play commentary. Just sitting back and letting the game unfold, and then just not really describing I noticed that hey, it's this formation, and this guy's doing this, and single back that, and I don't think I have to do all that. I want to take it less like matter-of-factly. I think I sounded like a radio broadcast, where I'm telling you everything that's happening, forgetting that you guys can see what's on the field. You don't have to have me doing that. So I think I want to be more like, more energy, more rah-rah, more life, so that I don't want to be boring. That's the worst thing you can be, is boring. And I think kind of that's what I was last episode. So I'm going to try to bring a little bit different. That was my 5th or 6th attempt at doing a video that day, so my voice and energy level might not have been where it needed to be. So I'm going to try to make sure I don't do that to myself and wear myself out, so that I'm bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go. So that's going to bring this episode to a conclusion. Next one's going to be the game of the 5-5 Toronto Huskies at the bottom of the division against the 2nd place in the division 7-3 Sentinels. Who's going to come out on top? Are the Sentinels going to push further towards the best team in the league from worst to first? Are the Huskies going to make their late season push for the postseason? We're going to find out next episode. So I want to thank you for joining me. Thank you for putting up with my... As I'm learning the trade here, I'm by no means an expert. So thanks for that. If you could, I know this is a fledgling YouTube channel, not a lot of views yet, but if you happen across this, please feel free to leave a comment. I don't care if you have something critical to say of me. I'm learning, so if there's something that, hey, if you did this, it might be better, awesome, love to hear it. I don't care. Just don't say, hey, you're a piece of trash, and leave it at that. That's not very constructive. Just say, hey, maybe if you use this setting, or maybe if you tried this would work better. I'm all for that. I'm all about self-improvement. Also, if you enjoyed this, leave a like. And if you want to see where this goes, where the Orlando Sentinels and Shaq Hennessy end up, subscribe. Because I'm going to be as I can, now that I've figured this part out, I'm going to be adding content again on a fairly regular basis. I want to get the season over with and continue on, see where I can go with this team, and have fun with it. I also have another idea for another franchise, and I won't get into that. This video is getting long in the tooth, so I'm not going to sit here and repeat every episode multiple times a day. Hey, like, follow, and subscribe. Yeah, okay, you already know that. Please do it, though. Every once in a while I'll mention it, but I don't want to beat you guys over the head with it. So thank you. I hope you all are doing well, happy, stay safe and sane out there. We'll see you next time, where it's going to be the Toronto Huskies taking on the Orlando Sentinels at the very cleverly named Sentinel Field. Woohoo! I'll see you then. I'll look forward to seeing you. Be well, everyone.